Summer Game Fest 2026 brought some massive PS5 game reveals, so here are 25 titles you need to know about right now. Game number 1 on this list is Resident Evil Requiem, Capcom's 9th mainline entry in the survival horror franchise, and it absolutely delivers. Released on February 27, 2026, it follows new protagonist Grace Ashcroft and Leon S. Kennedy as they return to the ruins of Raccoon City to unravel a chilling mystery tied to a series of murders. With roots in both the terrifying atmosphere of RE7 and the action pacing of RE4, Requiem hits that perfect balance that fans have wanted for years. Coming in at number 2, God of War Sons of Sparta is a retro-inspired 2D Metroidvania developed by Megacat Studios alongside Santa Monica Studio. It launched as a surprise shadow drop alongside the PlayStation State of Play in February 2026, celebrating the franchise's 20th anniversary. You play as a young Kratos navigating handcrafted environments packed with combat and exploration. And while reviews were mixed, fans of the franchise found a lot to love in the nostalgic 2D format. Number 3 is Marathon, Bungie's ambitious sci-fi extraction shooter that arrived on PS5, Xbox, and PC on March 5, 2026. This is a very different game from Destiny, built around tense team-based runs where you scavenge, survive, and extract with your loot. The deep character ability systems and atmospheric world design make it genuinely one of the more compelling multiplayer experiences available on PS5 right now, especially with a growing and engaged player base. At number 4, Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection is the turn-based RPG spin-off that Capcom quietly turned into one of the best surprises of early 2026. Launching March 13th, it draws clear inspiration from Clair Obscur Expedition 33 in how it constructs its battles, delivering that satisfying win by the skin of your teeth feeling throughout. The story involving twin Rathalos is more mature than previous entries, and the semi-open world gives you plenty of room to explore on Monsteback. 5 on the list is Crimson Desert, Pearl Abyss's sprawling open-world action adventure that launched March 19, 2026, after years of anticipation. You step into the boots of Greymane Cliff on a journey across the rugged continent of Pywell, and the cinematic combat system is genuinely stunning in motion. It received dedicated PS5 Pro enhancements at launch, which means if you have the hardware, this is one of the best-looking games available on any console right now. Number 6 is Pragmata, the long-awaited Capcom new IP that finally arrived April 17, 2026, after being in development for years. The game pairs astronaut Hugh Williams with android Diana in a co-op-style single-player structure set on a lunar station, where you shoot enemies as Hugh and hack defenses as Diana. It is one of the stronger single-player campaigns of 2026 so far, blending a heartfelt narrative with a genuinely strategic combat loop that rewards careful play. 7th on the list, Saros is Housemarque's follow-up to the cult hit Returnal, and it landed exclusively on PS5 on April 30, 2026. You play as Arjun Devraj, a Soltari enforcer trapped in a time loop on the colony world of Carcosa. Fans expecting something in the vein of Returnal will not be disappointed, as the bullet-heavy combat and atmospheric world-building are arguably even stronger here, delivering what many are already calling one of the best PS5 exclusives to date. Number 8, First Light is the long-overdue return of James Bond to gaming, developed by IO Interactive and released May 27, 2026. This is a young Bond origin story, following a reckless but resourceful recruit as he earns his 00 status and gets pulled into a deeply personal conspiracy. With IO's trademark stealth precision meeting blockbuster action set pieces, it lands as one of the standout single-player experiences of 2026 across any platform. At number 9, Invincible VS is the fighting game based on the Invincible comic and animated universe, released April 30th, 2026 on PS5. It brings the roster of Invincible characters together in a fast, fluid 2D fighter with mechanics that go deeper than you might expect from a licensed title. If you have been watching the show on Amazon, jumping into this game feels like a natural extension of that universe, and the fan reception has been genuinely positive. Number 10 is Ghost of Yotei, Sucker Punch's follow-up to the beloved Ghost of Tsushima, which released October 2nd, 2025. Set on the island of Hokkaido in 1603, you play as Atsu, an Onimusha on a revenge journey against the ruthless Yotei 6. The environmental storytelling, open-world design, and jaw-dropping visual presentation make this one of the most talked-about PS5 exclusives of 2025, earning it serious Game of the Year conversations. Coming in at number 11 is Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Hideo Kojima's wildly ambitious PS5 exclusive that launched June 26, 2025. Sam's new mission takes the delivery and connectivity themes of the original into stranger, more cinematic territory, with improved combat and traversal mechanics that make the world feel alive. Metacritic named it the best PlayStation exclusive of 2025, and it stands as proof that Kojima continues to push games in directions no one else would dare. 12 on this list is Clair Obscur Expedition 33, the debut game from French studio Sandfall Interactive that dropped April 24, 2025, and became one of the biggest GOT contenders of the year. This turn-based RPG with real-time parry mechanics is set in a dark fantasy Belle Epoque world where people are being erased from existence by a mysterious painter. It won more game awards than any other title in history, according to multiple outlets, which says everything you need to know. Number 13 is Elden Ring Nightreign, From Software's co-op standalone spin-off that took the Elden Ring formula and rebuilt it around a 3-player survival structure. Released in 2025, each session drops you into a condensed but brutal version of the Lands Between, where the map closes in over 3 nights and ends with a climactic boss encounter. It is fiercely challenging and endlessly replayable, making it one of the most exciting multiplayer PS5 experiences for fans of the Souls-like genre. At number 14, Hollow Knight Silksong finally arrived on September 4th, 2025, ending one of gaming's longest community waits. Playing as Hornet in the new Kingdom of Farloom, you get acrobatic new movement abilities, over 200 enemies, and around 40 legendary bosses across a vast and hauntingly atmospheric 2D world. Team Cherry fully delivered on the promise of the original, and the game has since become a staple recommendation for anyone who owns a PS5. Silent Hill F at number 15 brings Konami's survival horror franchise to 1960s rural Japan, following protagonist Hinako through a mountain town gripped by terrifying supernatural events. Released in 2025 and developed by Taiwanese studio Neobards, critics praised its stunning visuals and atmospheric score above all else. It may not reinvent the formula, but as a love letter to the series' roots with a genuinely unsettling new setting, it more than earns its place on this list. Number 16 is Arc Raiders, the extraction shooter that nobody saw coming and everyone ended up talking about throughout 2025. You raid above-ground zones, loot gear, fight enemies, and survive long enough to extract before bringing your spoils back to camp for crafting. Tech Radar called it one of the most exciting live service games in years, largely because the emergent player interactions create stories that feel completely unique every single run. At number 17, Monster Hunter Wilds is Capcom's main series entry that launched in February 2025 and immediately became one of the best-selling games in franchise history. The seamless open-world biomes, dynamic weather systems, and fluid combat evolution over worlds make this the most polished hunting experience Capcom has ever put out. For PS5 players, it looks and runs brilliantly, and the ongoing post-launch content has kept the community deeply invested well into 2026. Number 19 is Lies of P Overture, the prequel DLC that shadow dropped during Summer Game Fest 2025 and immediately expanded what was already one of the best Souls-likes in recent memory. Set in the final days of Krat, just before the Puppet Frenzy, it peels back the city's darkest untold stories with new levels, enemies, and lore. If you never played the base game, the Overture bundle makes it easy to jump in and experience both the DLC and the original together. At number 20, Forza Horizon 5 PS5 Edition brought one of the greatest open-world racing games ever made to PlayStation for the first time in April 2025, and critics loved it just as much as they did on Xbox. The setting in Mexico spans deserts, jungles, beaches, and a snow-capped volcano across nearly 600 roads and 11 biomes. Years of post-launch updates mean this version is deeper and more feature-rich than it was at Xbox launch, making it a must-play for any racing fan on PS5. Number 21 is Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, the wild action spin-off starring Goro Majima that launched in early 2025. Majima wakes up shipwrecked with no memory on a remote Pacific island, and naturally ends up commanding a pirate fleet, mixing the series' signature brawler combat with naval battles and the usual ridiculous minigame chaos. It is exactly the kind of unhinged fun that longtime fans of the series expect from a Majima-led adventure. At 22, Metaphor ReFantazio is the fantasy RPG from Atlas that arrived in late 2024 and spent most of 2025 collecting awards and new players. Developed by the team behind the Persona series, it blends a richly detailed fantasy kingdom with deeply layered turn-based combat and a cast of characters that rival anything the studio has ever produced. For PS5 players who want a deep, story-driven RPG that will consume weeks of their life, this is the one to pick up. 23 is Street Fighter 6, which has continued to grow its roster and player base well into the 2026 season, following its massive Year 4 DLC announcement at Summer Game Fest 2026, headlined by the reveal of Tifa Lockhart as a playable character. The core game already established itself as one of the best fighting games in franchise history when it launched in 2023, and the ongoing support from Capcom has kept competitive play thriving on PS5 across multiple years now. At number 24, Stellar Blade is the PS5 exclusive action game from Korean studio Shift Up that released April 26, 2024, and remains one of the most visually striking games on the platform. Playing as Eve on a mission to reclaim Earth from the Nightingales, the combat system rewards timing and precision in a way that feels genuinely satisfying once it clicks. Summer Game Fest 2026 reminded everyone this franchise is going places, with the reveal of Stellar Blade BloodRayne generating massive excitement. And at number 25, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is Square Enix's second chapter in the FF7 Remake trilogy, originally released in early 2024, and still drawing new players in 2025 and 2026 thanks to continued critical acclaim. The sprawling open-world map, expanded cast interactions, and emotionally charged story make it one of the most ambitious JRPGs ever attempted on PS5. With Final Fantasy VII Revelation announced at Summer Game Fest 2026 as the closing chapter, there has never been a better time to revisit or start this trilogy.